And it's me, Gazbot, here once again, this time, again, with a what? What? Who? I'm here. How about you? This is a 15-minute sketch. I've done a few of these. I've done a lot of these, but I have recently been recording them live, and now you can see my face, although most of the drawing is going to be this. And the last two times I did this, I put out a request to see what people might want. Oh, you know what? I should get a timer going. I'm going to get a timer going for 15 minutes, and I will probably cheat on that because that's been my thing that I do is I get mostly done in 15 minutes and then do a few more little things. But what I've been doing is asking for suggestions. I'm going to start this. I'm going to start drawing as I talk about my suggestions. Started. We have begun. All right. So this week, this time I should say, I went with an Instagram suggestion. Actually, I did last time too, which is not how I always do it. Matter of fact, what I do is I put it up on Instagram natively and sort of say, okay, I'm going to do this and, you know, give me your suggestions. But then I also repost to Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, etc. And Facebook and Instagram usually get a couple responses right away. Twitter once in a while, Tumblr never. For me, Tumblr is the black hole of social media. I don't know what it is. I know people do well on it, but like the what I do or the way I post it, it doesn't do anything for me. So I throw it on there so that I'm technically on there, but like I said, it's almost not even worth mentioning. However, um, I also tend to do it right before I'm about to do the drawing because I don't want to get a million answers and have to navigate through them and have people being annoyed that I didn't pick them or whatever. So I usually do it, within an hour or so of when I'm thinking of doing it and then go from there. Now, this time, I got a few that I liked. Sometimes it's really easy where I'm not a big fan of the suggestions and then I find the one I like. But and when I say not a big fan, I don't mean like, oh, your characters are terrible, but just either it's something I'm not personally interested in, or I'm not in the mood to do that today. Like you might put up something that I don't pick one day and then I'll pick it again, pick it another day. Sometimes I'll never pick it. For example, Farrell Bolding requested Rick James more than once, and nothing against Farrell, nothing against Rick James, but I'm not a Rick James fan. I know very little about him. I mean, I know he's like a funk musician, I guess, but I basically know him like I would guess many people because I watched the Chappelle show and I'm familiar with the catchphrase and kind of what he looks like, and he's definitely an interesting looking fellow. But I'm just, yeah, I also am not a huge fan of trying to get likenesses, even though I had done Luke Skywalker. As I talked about in the video, I was doing Luke Skywalker, not Mark Hamill. Even though I do caricatures as part of my living, it's funny. It's just I don't enjoy doing likenesses that much, and I don't even think I'm especially good at it, though I keep tending to get hired to do it. So I don't know. I guess I have something. But if you haven't guessed by now, or if you don't know this character, I am working on a Marvel Comics character, specifically from the X universe, known as Mr. Sinister. He is a villain, and he's a lot of my knowledge of comics, specifically Marvel Comics. From like the late 80s late 80s is kind of when I started, and I did okay through the 90s, and then towards the end of the 90s, I fell off. Now, that doesn't mean I stopped reading comics, but I stopped reading every comic, and I stopped knowing all the back story and history. So a lot of the versions of characters I'm going to generate towards, both for sentimental affection and for just ease of knowing that version of them, is going to come probably from the late 80s, early 90s, and Mr. Sinister is no exception. I know he's gone through some permutations, but I'm kind of going for the mid to late 90s version, which is also the version you would have seen if you watched the Fox cartoon, um, animated cartoon of X-Men, that is. And yeah, I've never drawn him. A lot of these I've never drawn. That's kind of one of the things of the 15 minute. There was a couple other good suggestions. And again, I'm not putting value on some people's suggestions more than others, but good in terms of I almost picked them. I almost did Psylocke, who's another 80s, 90s, should say 90s. Yeah, I mean she's been around since the 80s, but the current Asian version that's like a ninja is more of a 90s character, which is I guess I could have done the older English Betsy Braddock version, which is I guess that's still her name, but she went through the Siege Perilous and came out as an Asian ninja. Nobody really knows why, but whatever. Uh, she's a cooler character because of it. Um, and what was I saying? Well, I almost did that. The reason I didn't, honestly, I find men easier to draw than women, and I find evil monster men easier to draw than hot, sexy women, which is what she is. Now, that doesn't mean I shouldn't stretch myself and try to draw her from time to time, and maybe I'll do it if it gets suggested another time. But I'm not feeling super ambitious with my 15-minute time frame today, where I want to try to draw a character for the first time that isn't, you know, in my wheelhouse of what I feel super comfortable with. And that's not necessarily a good thing because you want to stretch as an artist. But again, I'm picking my battles, and right now I'm deciding I don't want to do that. Let me check time. We got 10 and a half minutes. I probably made a mistake doing the body. Once again, I did speedball the other day and I did a body, and it was a little more necessary. With Mr. Sinister, not so much. I also picked a smaller brush. I'm going to rectify that and go to a bigger brush. With Mr. Sinister, it's less about the crazy um, kinetic pose that I wanted for like Speedball to show who he is. It's more about his crazy. It's always crazy something, right? It's more about his crazy headgear and like weird cape of ribbon feathers, which really makes no sense the more you think about it. I mean, I'm not saying it's not visually interesting, but like, what circumstance led that to be created? I mean, he's a mutant, he's a bad guy. Okay, he wants to have some gravitas, maybe put on a big cape and a headpiece, which is, you know, sort of ornamental and I guess militaristic-ish, you know. But then it's like, well, for my cape, what I want you to do is take several strips what, like 10? No, like 400 strips of a leather-like material, but make sure they go up and then down along the length of my body, sort of like feathers, plumage, if you will. What is this supposed to do? Oh, it'll terrify my enemies. Well, it might, but won't you trip over them? Don't you worry yourself about it. This is a perfect Mr. Sinister impression, by the way, in case you've never heard him speak. Yeah, so it's again, it's kind of it makes me think more of like Hellraiser or like an S&M club or some sort of, you know, it doesn't make me think of a supervillain or a military conqueror. It makes me think of some sort of, you know, fetish club or something. Uh, yeah. So let me go ahead and make this quieter. Quieter? I'm lowering the opacity from 50 to 25. This one I'm lowering from 100 to 75. Just so I can see what I'm doing a little more. And well, let me check time. Time Time is the fire in which we all burn. Time is 8.5 minutes. So kind of throw some of these Jam Jones. He also has this sort of organic metal that the first time I saw it was with Colossus back in the day, but I don't know if that was actually the first time. It's certainly been used many times since. Although with Mr. Sinister here, I always get the impression it was part of his crazy outfit, like the, you know, weird plumage he has on. And as usual, on my other screen, I have open a reference just so I could kind of get this costume right-ish. And this forearm is a crazy. It's a crazy, guys. It's a crazy. Why do I do this to myself? It's so much pressure. Not to get it done, but to get it done well. And I keep doing things I've never drawn. I'm never like, no, I guess I'll just do a Ninja Turtle. I've drawn them 100 times. I'm always like, guys, what should I draw? Oh, a thing I've never drawn. Although it is weird, like, given my history with comics and what a big fanboy I was back in the day, especially that, like, yeah, I never drew Mr. Sinister. You know, I never drew Speedball. There's certain characters. I don't know. I mean, I guess I drew a lot more of my own characters even back then, as opposed to licensed characters or you know, owned characters by Marvel or whatever. And when I did, I know I drew a lot of like Alpha Flight. I remember drawing them a lot, like Box. Um, I never drew like Spider-Man. I guess I drew Wolverine a handful of times, but like it seems like I would draw Darkhawk and Sleepwalker and all like the more obscure characters as opposed. I drew Nightcrawler a lot. He was one of the more mainstream ones because he was like a favorite of mine. And I guess that's it. Like my favorite characters back then probably weren't the more mainstream ones. Booster Gold. I mean, a lot of the ones that are still my favorites now, but all right, let's turn that off. Bring that to 50. And that looks terrible. We got 6.5 minutes. Time for some radical surgery. I want to go down to get more detailed, but I think it's more important that I fix this crazy armness. Aaron, get down. My cat is trying to climb up. She's like, right now, I climb up. I climb up now. I climb up now. No, you don't. Well, she does, but I push her down. That has nothing to do with anything. So sometimes when I need to make a correction like this, I will sort of just do a structural drawing with a different color just to sort of see how off I've gotten from reality. And, you know, I'm not trying to be perfect reality. It is superheroes, it is comics, it is 15 minutes, but as I said, oh my gosh, there's Erin. See, she really wants to be part of this. Uh, I'm gonna give myself more time because of that. I'm justifying cheating, everyone. Cheating is justified, not on your spouse, but on yourself. All right, so then I'm gonna go ahead and erase this whole mess in here. Blah 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 blah. I am a mess. This is a really good idea to do. Oh, I had it on the angle. You could do a free lasso tool, or you could do the points where you do an angle, and I did the free lasso tool. I wanted to do the free lasso tool. Sorry. Oh boy, I'm doing terrible. The best idea for when you're on a time limit is to erase a huge section of what you've been working on and then redo it. But honestly, that bothers me so much I don't even care. All right, so then I go back to this, and now I kind of try to follow that guideline I've given myself. Let me lower the opacity on that down to 50. Okay, back. And again, it's not going to be perfect anatomy, but plausible. Plausible anatomy. That's what we're going for, folks. And I want to get him with like an arms cross pose because he's definitely one of those villains. I mean, he could fight, he's powerful, whatever. But like, I don't remember when I think of him, I don't think of him as like punching or shooting energy. I think of him as standing there, with his arms crossed, like, "So, Summers, you don't know the truth about your brother." Or see, his voice changes sometimes. I know it sounds different than before, but again, spot on. Or I picture him doing like one of these like, "Come to Sinister," things like that. Get out of here, Aaron. I know you wanted to come to Sinister, but it was acting. It was acting. I'm not really Sinister. I didn't really want you to come. Okay, so now I'm going to turn that off. So there, more plausible. And it's funny, there's a lot of these like, well, I'm going to call them cosmic level, which isn't actually accurate, but these like super powerful next level characters where like the entire X-Men are needed to even stand a chance. And characters like Thanos and stuff where they're like really ripped and muscular, but like their punches are meaningless and they're not like brawlers. And it's like, why are they so ripped? Don't they stand around like wearing their crazy gear, just being powerful and condescending? When are they hitting the gym? It's like part of their mutant power is just to be buff, like, well, I don't need to work on this. It's just how I naturally am. I don't want your excuses, Sinister. It's not an excuse. It's a reason. It's an explanation. Stop talking to me. I'm trying to get this drawing done. Fine. I gave him a little bit too much in the head department. Let me check the time. I feel like we're doing really bad. 3.5 minutes. We are doing really bad. All right, so what that means is that this now becomes the final layer, even though I wanted it to not be the final layer, which means I will bring back this crummy underlayer. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave that gone. I'm just going to go in with some color blams. Color blams, everybody. Here we go. Now, I think he's supposed to be wearing all black, but old school comic coloring dictates that black is blue. So I'm going to go with that. Put this at... Let's see if we could... Luckily, he's like basically three colors. He's a blackish blue, red, and the white for his face. So with 3 minutes to go, I'm just going to throw this in. And the color saves it a lot too. It hides a lot of the flaws and just makes it look more finished. If I was braver, I would have left it black and white and put a little bit of gray shading, but I'm like, this is not working the way I want it to. Color save me. All right, some red. I do like the red. I guess it gives it. He has. I never thought about it before, but he has a very vampire look, a very like classic Dracula, because it's the black cloak and he's got like white face and like red eyes. That had to be in their mind when they were working on him, I guess. Although not in mine until just now. Although it's not like I've been thinking about Mr. Sinister every day for years. I have. He's amazing. All right, some red eyes. Let me go back. Color his hair a different blue. That's how we can tell his hair is not his suit. That's not made of the same stuff. And now, but I missed this little part here. And then a little bit of blue for his face, just as a shadow. So we'll make it a gray blue and kind of go, look at me. I'm so sinister. My shading doesn't match my skin tone. It's an implausible blue. Good, Aaron. Keep moving. All right. And so I'm going to now put a little bit more shading in. We're actually doing okay on time. I haven't even gone over yet. Look at me. Now this, again, I also feel like it should be like leathery or metallic. So I'm going to go ahead and put a highlight in after I put these in just to accentuate the shine. Maybe it's pleather, PVC. It's something. It's something, ladies and gents and kittens and caboodles. All right, so I'll put a little bit of... Now the red, I'm going to go ahead and not put a highlight on. I'll just put the shadow on. But that blue, black, whatever it is, we'll have it. And the eyes, actually, too, I want to make them a little bit more gleaming. Yeah, any voice you use for him is correct. That's what we've learned. What color are his gums? Let's say they're regular color, gum color. All right, that's weird. Okay, and we'll do a nice highlight for his get-goes. Highlight for his get-goes. Ha 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 ha. And a little bit of flam and some flan. A little shine here. Maybe his hair's metal like Colossus. Who knows? I'm like the Bob Ross of gibberish superhero. Okay, that's all done. I was going to say good, but done is probably more accurate. And then we'll give him a color in the background, which I feel like should be purple. Let me zoom out a bit. I'm out zooming. Begin. And we'll do this. La 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 la, I'm Mr. Sinister. Give me purple. La 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 la. And then we'll do a little bit darker. La 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 la, purple Sinister. La 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 la. And then some lighter. Oh, actually, I'm gonna do yellow because why not? Bah, ha, ha, yellow, crazy Sinister. And then because I did that, I'm gonna add a little yellow highlight. Oh, there's time. All right, so done. Except here comes the cheat. Let me reset my timer so we can know how much I cheated. I'm going to do a little bit of yellow highlight on his suit since I put that yellow in. But here's the trick. I'm going to... See, that looks a little too heavy. I'll put it on his face too. That all looks too heavy. And then I'm going to take that whole thing and drop it down to 25. Better. Maybe 50. And then this is too much, so I'm going to erase a little bit. What? No. 50, 75, 75. Yeah, da, 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 da. I'm just lightening the highlight on him, although I want to leave the background how it is, and I think we're going to call that done. So I only went over 40 seconds. It's amazing. Oh, I didn't mention who picked this. This was Richard Monahan. Richie boy. Well job, sir. Okay, so that's it for me, Gazbot, and Mr. Sinister from Marvel Comics' X-Men villain, the 15-minute sketch. Maybe there'll be more, maybe there won't. There'll definitely be more videos that'll be about toys, art, my comic, The Horror A4, cats, dogs, trees, bones. 11 times 7 is 77.